Ever since I heard that my third college semester will probably be 100% online based, I began to just kind of think about life before this whole COVID nightmare, normal life, where you could freely go outside and go to any store that you want, or go pretty much anywhere you want, without a mask, without gloves, without having to worry about social distancing and all of the sort, and how much I just really miss that life, and how much I really miss actually going somewhere to learn. As much as I don't like waking up early a lot of days, I mean, it gave me something to do. I kind of liked actually going to college and, talking to some people, meeting professors, learning new things in a classroom environment. I mean, again, like, I wasn't thrilled to go when I was going, but now that that's gone, and now that that probably won't happen in the third semester, it just makes me think how much I just want normalcy to return. And I've been wanting normalcy to return ever since we began quarantining, and ever since my classes moved to distance learning in the middle of the second semester. And to think that I'll probably be doing that again. Now, this isn't set in stone. I mean, there's still a chance that I may actually be physically going to college for my third semester, or at least part of the third semester, because, the second wave that people were talking about is supposedly coming in the fall or winter months. I forget exactly. But after learning, there's a good 90 to 95% chance that my next semester of college will be all online based, as opposed to my last semester where only part of it I was physically going to college. Just saddens me all the more, but it allowed me to start thinking about the near future, and possibly even further than the near future, how life will be with this COVID shit going on. Now, I know we won't be quarantining forever. Eventually, we will have to go back to at least somewhat of a normal life, but when we do, I still imagine things are going to be very different. People are going to be very weary in public spaces, especially where I live in NYC, where pretty much half of the fucking population here uses public transportation. They don't even use cars because you could just easily take the bus to like any destination you want. And I'd imagine this will inspire people to wash their hands more and just practice proper hygiene in general, at least I hope. But I was talking about this with my family the other day, and it really just got me thinking, about how people will probably be a lot more paranoid in, crowded spaces from this point on, because of this whole COVID shit, because of all this quarantining shit, because of all this social distancing shit. And this isn't me disparaging any efforts made by people to help stop the spread of COVID. Of course, I understand. Take proper precautions. I'm not shitting on that at all, because only an idiot would do that. But I'm just saying, from this point on, like, even after COVID may be decimated, people will be a lot more paranoid when it comes to social gatherings, because they fear that something like this could happen again. I wonder how, like, the movie theater industry or concerts or anything of the sort, places where people gather and, like, in a large group in a crowded space. I wonder how those industries will fare in the future, if they will even have a future at all. Because this virus really shook everything up in such a short amount of time. And I know it's on the decline. It's not as much of a threat as it was just last month and the month before that and the month before that. But again, there's rumblings of a second, even stronger wave coming in these next few months. So, it's not like this thing will not be a threat anymore in the immediate future, because again, there's rumblings of a second stronger wave coming, and that just scares the hell out of me. And of course, we're going to go back to quarantining again. Everything will be closed again. And there are already businesses that are comfortable with opening again, and people are starting to go out a little bit more. And as much as I like seeing that, as much as I like seeing a somewhat return to normalcy, of course, a lot of businesses still require people to wear masks and gloves, and I see a lot of stores have glass in front of the cashiers, taking proper precautions to curb the spread of COVID. Of course, there are still precautions being taken in place, so yeah, we're not at a complete return to normalcy yet, but I still see people, trying to at least go back to a somewhat normal life, going out a lot more. Again, more non-essential businesses opening again, because COVID is at the decline right now. But I say, don't get careless. Please don't, because this probably would help make the second wave even worse than it is already projected to be. Please, for the love of God, don't get careless. Don't think just because we're not seeing as many cases pop up as just a month ago, it's time to get careless. It's time to resume back to how things were prior to COVID really shaking things up and closing down non-essential businesses and causing most of us to quarantine in our homes unless we work essential jobs. Don't get careless. Don't start taking off your gloves. Don't start taking off your mask in public just because the spread may have slowed right now. Because again, there is a second stronger wave projected to hit. And please, for the love of fucking God, think about your peers. Think about those around you, especially those around you who may be immunocompromised or maybe elderly or at least middle age, people who are in the prime target of people who are in the prime group of people who get COVID the worst, and the most people by far who die of COVID. As long as this thing remains a threat, we should still take it seriously, even if it may not pose as much of a threat currently. And I was also talking about my uncle about this too, because he heard that a vaccine for COVID may never be found, like an actual cure for COVID. And this is just something that we just have to deal with in the future, which is terrifying to think of, but may very well be a possibility. I mean, look at the flu. There are vaccines for the flu, but there's no actual, cure for the flu. Just because you may get a flu vaccine doesn't, completely eliminate your chances of getting the flu. There's still a chance you could get the flu. Just getting a vaccine just lowers your chances of getting the flu, but again, it doesn't completely eliminate your chances of getting the flu, and we may find an equivalent for COVID, or we may not. And you have to eventually get COVID, suffer through it, and then our bodies will grow immune to COVID, and that's how COVID is decimated, which, again, terrifies me, because, again, I have an elderly grandma, and if she were to get COVID, she would probably die, but still, we just have to face the reality of COVID may just be here to stay. This may continue to be a threat until it's just not a threat anymore through natural means. And I scoffed at people who said in March and April, oh, by May, things will probably be back to normal. I'm sure the spread will slow by then, and non-essential businesses will open again, and things will be back to business as usual, which, yeah, that totally happened, but still, I can understand the frustration. I mean, I was frustrated by those people saying very ignorant things back then, and I still am to a certain extent, but I can understand the frustration to an extent, because I too feel that frustration. Now, I'm not like those people and saying, let's stop taking proper precautions to slow the spread of COVID and just go back to how life was prior to COVID. No, of course, because again, that would be stupid of me to say, but I can at the very least understand the frustration, because I too so wish for life to return the way it was prior to March. And the reality is we're probably not going to see a return to complete normalcy for possibly a long time. And when things do eventually get back to normal, just the climate of things, just the way people are more weary, more paranoid of something like this possibly happening again, and people not wanting to exactly go to places where a large group of people gather in one area. I don't see life returning completely back to normal for a very, very long time, even after everything opens back up again, even after COVID may not be a threat anymore at all, and maybe even after a cure is found. I still can see that paranoia still lingering around, and people will probably not return to a complete normal state of mind for a very long time, even after COVID may be completely decimated and there's no way it's a threat anymore. But yeah, this is what's been lingering around in my mind for the past week or so. Life sucks right now, but really all you can do right now is just persevere and hope for a better future. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.